Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and that will promote the interests of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om al ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelela ilezwe letu na bantu balo, umusili, ukulungu kwepondo letu. Kosi sikelela i Afrika. Kina abantwana bayo. Kokela inkokeli zayo, uniki upolo i Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. Please be seated. Good morning, honorable members. Order. Before we proceed, I would like to remind members about some of the procedural arrangements, as has been our practice to date. Honourable members will participate in the sitting of the House, both from here in the chamber with the presiding officer and the table staff, and via Microsoft Teams, and our standing rules have accordingly been amended to accommodate such hybrid sittings. Honourable members experiencing challenges in connecting to the sitting are requested to contact the WCPP ICT colleagues who will assist to resolve the connectivity challenges. Honourable members, the quorum requirements for the sitting of the House are provided for in the Constitution of the Western Cape and the standing rules. Unless there is an indication of unanimous concurrence, voting will be confined to members present in the House and on the hybrid system who are entitled to cast their votes as per the ATC issued on the 11th of August 2020. Members present in the chamber and via Microsoft Teams have all the privileges and immunities imparted by law. Honourable members who are considered out of order by the presiding officer will have their microphones muted and called to order. The Sergeant at Arms will record members' attendance. Honourable members, in instances where these directives do not cover a particular eventuality, the standing rules must apply, and in instances where the standing rules cannot be applied, the ruling by the presiding officer is final. Honourable members who wishes to raise a point of order who is in the chamber, such an honourable member may address the presiding officer as expected, but must mute their microphones when they have concluded speaking. Honourable members, the media have also been granted access via the MS Teams meetings as guests of the WCPP. However, I wish to remind the members of the press that they may not use the chat room or speak or activate their cameras while the sitting is in progress. If an individual member who is not a member of this House activates their microphones and video cameras, such an individual member will be removed from the sitting immediately. Honourable members, I request those that are here today who are not members of the House to please observe the decorum of the House. And at that point, I would also like to welcome those in the gallery. Welcome to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. Honourable members, I wish to remind you that no interjections are permitted during these hybrid sittings. And to this end, I wish to draw your attention to Rule 40 of our standing rules. We will now proceed with the business of the House. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Consideration of the principle of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, B5/2025.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Minister, Minister Bartman.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, Cabinet colleagues, members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, people of the Western Cape. When I tabled the medium-term budget policy statement last week, as well as the adjustment budget, I indicated that the Western Cape is done with merely holding the line. We have laid the foundations, we have put the scaffolding in place, and now we are scaling for growth. Our theme speaks to the urgency of accelerating delivery in a province where population growth is outpacing economic gains. Growth is the engine that powers jobs, safety, and dignity. And the Provincial Strategic Plan remains our compass, with growth and jobs as our apex priority. Our policy priorities being growth for jobs, safety, an educated, healthy and caring society, and innovation, culture and governance, shaping every decision in our 2025-26 adjustment budget and MTEF going forward. These priorities mean that roads and homes are being built, classrooms are being opened, hospitals are being upgraded, and communities are being made safer. Despite fiscal constraints and a compressed spending window, we're adding 1.739 billion rand to the adjustment budget to strengthen service delivery. This includes 1.070 billion rand from national transfers and a net of 669 million rand in provincial funding, with a further 431 million rand provisionally allocated for the 2026 budget. Speaker, I want to re-emphasize that no department's budget is being cut. In response to the late national budget process and to protect service delivery in our province, the Western Cape government will realign 983.384 million rand from the 2025-26 financial year, or the current year, to the 2026 medium-term expenditure framework. This decision was necessary because the national budget process delayed transfers to provinces, leaving an extremely compressed spending window, which simply is not feasible. By realigning our funding instead of cutting budgets, we give departments the opportunity to prepare for accelerated delivery. It is a disciplined and prudent approach that safeguards services while maintaining fiscal sustainability. And while we take this responsible step, we are also making targeted investments where they matter most. Key allocations, among others, in the adjustment budget includes 573.6 million rand for health to stabilize in-year pressures, with a further 139.157 million rand being provisionally allocated for the 2026-27 budget due to recruitment timelines, which will reflect in the main budget. 292.1 million rand, which is provisionally allocated to education for educator compensation in 2026-27, also linked to recruitment timelines, which will reflect in the 2026 budget. 9 million rand to police oversight and community safety for the Mitchells Plain Safety and Development Program, a new pilot to strengthen crime prevention in high-risk areas. 3.5 million rand to cultural affairs and sport for programs that support youth development and healthier lifestyles through sport and cultural activities as part of violence prevention. 295 million rand for infrastructure, including 114 million rand for road infrastructure and 181 million rand to accelerate housing delivery. This excludes the money that we are also putting into infrastructure via some of our reserves. 10 million rand to mobility for differently abled mobility, 21 million rand for social development for psychosocial support, older persons care and digital systems. Speaker, this adjustment budget signals that even in a constrained fiscal environment, we're making the necessary investment to not only future-proof our province, but provide services that our communities can feel and see. When you look at the story of the Western Cape, it tells a story of growth and momentum. And in order to provide increased services for our increasing population, we need to scale that growth and momentum exponentially. While the national economy struggles at 0.7% growth, the Western Cape is projected at 1.2%, driven by agriculture, by finance, and by tourism. Unemployment nationally sits at 31.9%. In our province, unemployment is the lowest in the country at 19.7%. Our province has further made gains in our Gini coefficient, Human Development Index, labor absorption, and learner retention metrics. This proves that when you make the right choices, you can create your own growth. From Mitchells Plain to Beaufort West, this budget turns fiscal discipline into tangible delivery that makes an impact on people's lives. We are scaling for growth because growth is the only sustainable pathway to dignity, to safety and prosperity for the residents of our province. Speaker, I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister. I now recognize Honorable Nkondlo. Can I just get an indication if you need the podium? Can I please ask that the podium please be taken to the Honorable member? While we wait for that, members, you must please just give me an indication before you start if you need the podium, so I don't have to keep asking the same question. You can just indicate to the table staff. Honorable Nkondlo said we can continue. I recognize the Honorable Nkondlo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the 4th of December 2025, we sat in this House and listened to the Finance MEC Date Department delivered the adjusted budget. There is one statement she made that has stayed with me. I quote, "A budget is the most honest expression of a government's intent. It strips away the rhetoric and lays bare our priorities." I had to close quote, I had to double check if the MEC truly said that, and indeed she did, Speaker. I fully agree, as the saying goes, put your money where your mouth is. What is the honest expression of this budget of the MEC? As you land at Cape Town International Airport, you are greeted by a striking picture of informal settlements stretching across the landscape, a painful reminder that the Department of Infrastructure, despite repeated allocations, continues to fail to spend the funds meant to address this crisis. They have reduced the informal settlements from a full departmental mandate to a mere desk. If budgets reflect intention, then this is the clearest expression of how the provincial government views the housing crisis. Speaker, food insecurity is a major crisis in this province. Recently, we engaged with the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group, known for their research on the cost of living. Their affordability household index tracks food basket prices across all major metropolitan areas. What baffles them and us is how a rich agricultural province like the Western Cape consistently has one of the highest food basket costs in the country. In fact, we are in the top 3 most expensive provinces, alongside Gauteng, a province that does not produce food at the scale we do. MEC Batman spoke of reducing poverty and eliminating food insecurity by 2030. Yet, Speaker, people are hungry now. People do not want lofty ideas and ambitious promises. They want clear budgets, measurable targets, and concrete deliverables that show how these commitments will actually be achieved. Farm workers, the very people who work the land, cannot afford a basic Christmas meal. They face rising prices and may continue to be exploited by their employers. Where is the intent in this budget to address such realities? Beyond food gardens, some few projects by the Department of Health against stunting. And where is private sector participation in dealing with the negative effects of the food production systems? At a time when farmers desperately need support, the Department of Agriculture has failed to spend 269.35 million from the CASP intended for infrastructure reconstruction and rehabilitation following disasters between December 2023 and July 2024. How does the Western Cape expect to become a trillion-rand economy when it cannot spend money meant for recovery and rebuilding? Anyway, MEC Mayor told us in the standing committee that they had to revise this ambitious target to about 700 to 800 billion. Because when the truth comes, you have to alter because facts remains the same. The truth is simple. There is no capacity to spend because the Department of Agriculture lacks the human resources. It has realigned more than 40 million away from the compensation of employees' budget at a time when unemployment is soaring and existing staff are overburdened. This DA government continues to fail to fill critical vacancies and service delivery collapses as a result. We sit here as Speaker and listen on a daily, given by the different members of the executive, of how the population of the Western Cape has grown. And actually that justifies the demand of altering the equitable share formula because the numbers have increased. And with the numbers that have increased, people also who have came here are looking for better jobs, for better economic opportunities. And therefore, you would find that whatever poverty coming from rural areas will be a reality in the urban spaces that they are going to. But the budget does not seem to be demonstrating that these numbers, that they are using as a claim for more money, they are actually planning in real terms to ensure that services are getting to those people. And actually COE is a clear expression thereof. It is indicated in this book of the MTBPS that actually the numbers in the Western Cape of the staff has actually decreased, and this is a deliberate program by this provincial government through the Premier's office of ensuring austerity around employment of filling of vacancies. Because year in and year out in annual reports, we deal with the notion that is persistent about filling of vacancies, and we're always told, you know, this is about the delay, about this and that, but that continues. The new now feature that we are seeing is that the departments come, you know, to this house through the different committees and ask for budgets. And when those budgets are given, in the adjustment now, there is realignment, reallocation of funds to the next financial year or outer years. This is the new phenomenon of managing poor spending, because when the department is seeing that it's not going to be able to fill the vacancies, which is something that we believe that they are intentional in doing it, because these particular departments, if they were agile enough to respond to the demands of the population growth, because if there's population growth, clearly there's need to be more hands on deck to service the very people that they argue money for in the national fiscals. The consequences of this provincial government's persistent failure to spend funds specifically earmarked for filling critical vacancies are now vivid and deeply damaging, particularly in the Department of Social Development, where the vacancy rate stands at an alarming 29.5%, nearly 3 times higher than the accepted 10% norm set by the Department of Public Service Administration and also supported by the Premier's office that deals with human resources. This is not a statistics, it is a direct indictment of a government that has allowed key frontal post lines such as child and youth care workers, educators, professional nurses in child and youth care centers to remain unfilled, severely undermining service delivery and compromising the welfare of the most vulnerable. Yet, instead of correcting this failure, the proposed budget adjustments continue along this troubling trajectory, where millions of rand originally allocated for COE are either shifted to purchase computers, conveniently pushed into outer years of the MTEF. In total, over 384 million in funds meant to create and protect government jobs is being stripped away across departments, especially in the Department of Education, catastrophic cut of over 700 million under the guise of realignment, and echoed again in the Department of Health and Wellness, where more than 61 million earmarked for the Violence Prevention Unit and for Tygerberg's Hospital's critical capital and maintenance infrastructure has been lost. What we are witnessing is not budgeting. It is the systematic erosion of the state's human capacity to deliver essential services. The same DA that is weakening the state capacity to deliver services will be the first to invite the private sector to come to the rescue. So we see you. And Mr. Barpan, your own department is not immune. Treasury has reallocated 1.822 million to 26-27, money meant for 2 strategies posts, and a further 6.1 million across 2026, 27, 28, and 28-29 to fund expert support for the alternative and blended finance project. What happens when these posts are not filled? Surely this makes way, you know, for consultants. This makes way for private sector to be the one that actually provide, you know, the technical and expert skills that are required by the state to understand the very complex projects we're talking about. So you're going to be sitting with a state that does not necessarily have the contract management capability, the legal risk, and other specialized skills over the very complex capital projects we're talking about. So you sit here and you tell us that you are unable to fill these vacancies, so that tomorrow we are told, you know, that the very budgets must be moved now, you know, for goods and services where more consultants will come in and play into the space. So we definitely see this hollowing out of the state capability, because the state must not have the capacity so that you can then cry foul that the state cannot deliver and therefore private sector must be included. Across key departments, including economic development and tourism, vacancy rates are sitting at 35%. Critical posts remain stuck for months, even years, in endless cycles of shortlisting, vetting, competency assessment, and reviews. Meanwhile, the province operates without the capacity it needs to deliver basic services. Dozens of positions, deputy directors, accounting clerks, procurement officers, tourism development staff, ICT leadership roles, and even basic administrative support remain unfilled despite being fully funded. This is not a case of insufficient resources. The money is there. The crisis is a government paralyzed by poor planning, sluggish execution, and internal bottlenecks. And it's a political thing to actually hollow out the state capacity. Service delivery suffers every single day, and we see it here in this Western Cape, where we've got serious province. The Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning has reduced its budget by 21.76 million, citing slower than anticipated filling of posts, realignment of funds, and delay in planned projects. Speaker, we must say it again, this is not normal. If spending reflects intention, then this pattern reflects a government that is not committed to the people it claims to serve. Funds budgeted for service delivery are being rolled over, reallocated, or simply left unspent. This is also one way that this DA government is actually trying to mask its capacity not to spend, so that it gains these clean audits by reallocating funds to actually outer years. The Western Cape government decision to phase out the road agency function from district municipalities by 1st April 2026 is yet another example. While the province sells the new provincial road delivery model as an efficiency measure, the truth is that it removes one of the most significant revenue lifelines keeping district municipalities operational. Many district municipalities rely heavily on the provincial roads maintenance grant to maintain operations, retain technical staff, and keep rural road networks functional. Once this grant is removed, these municipalities will have no operational budget, no capacity to deliver day-to-day services, and no funds to employ staff. This reform will collapse district municipalities, not strengthen them. And the irony is the Department of Infrastructure, which is supposed to take on these expanded responsibilities, is the very department drowning in underspending, delayed procurement, slow project initiation, and massive rollover. Instead of fixing these failings, the province seeks to centralize
Honorable
power.
Nkondlo, your time
while
has expired.
hollowing
Please
out
conclude.
Local government. As the African National Congress, we reject this adjusted budget.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkondlo. Order, member. Honorable members, before I proceed and acknowledge the next speaker on the speakers list, I omitted to welcome two students in the gallery from the Cal University of Applied Sciences, Ms. Julia Ekenreichter and Selina Ransenberger, who's both studying public administration in Germany. So welcome to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, and I trust that you will enjoy the proceedings today. With that being said, I now recognize the Honourable Van Wyk.
Honourable Speaker, this province has captured the imagination of citizens and entrepreneurs with aspirations to work. This desire for growth, for a better life, is precisely why the people have chosen this government. We are the only party taking unemployment seriously, treating job creation as an imperative with leadership trusted to scale for growth. We are building momentum, safeguarding our residents, and investing in the future, while the country is being dragged down by 3 decades of ANC failure. The economic reality facing South Africa is tragic, with cost of living crushing households, real wages declining, and the national economic growth rate projected at a meager 0.7% for 2025. Even worse is the suffocating weight of our national debt. Reckless borrowing by national government has resulted in debt service costs consuming 18 cents out of every single rand being collected. That is 1/5 of our budget stolen from classrooms, from clinics, from police stations, just to pay the interest on the ANC's financial mismanagement. Yet, Honourable Speaker, despite these headwinds, the Western Cape refuses to participate in this decline. While the national economy struggles to find first gear, this province is projected to grow at 1.2% this year. nearly double the national projection. While national unemployment has deteriorated to a shocking 31.9%, this province is at 19.7%. This is the difference between a government that talks about growth and a government enabling growth. This adjustments budget before us was presented late, as was the case with the unprecedented chaos with the national budget and the resultant delays that then occurred. This means that transfers to provinces will only take place after being signed into law, with a spending window of just 2 months, February and March next year, to utilize these funds. Honourable Speaker, we have chosen discipline over panic. We have chosen to realign our resources and do proper planning to use them after year end. The Western Cape Department of Education is not facing a budget cut in this adjustment budget. We are realigning 292 million rand specifically for the compensation of employees to the 26 financial year, as planning for the 2026 school year beginning in January has already been done. We are therefore responsibly shifting the funding to the start of the new financial year so that it can be used for its intended purpose. This is how a future-focused government manages public money. The difference between the Western Cape and the rest of the country is perhaps most visible in how we manage disasters. Consider the state of disaster management across South Africa. In ANC-run municipalities, disaster is a permanent state of governance where sewage flows in the streets and infrastructure collapses daily. Contrast that with the Western Cape. Just this week, the head of our Provincial Disaster Management Centre, Colin Diner, was awarded an honorary doctorate for his contribution to the field. While the ANC offers excuses for their permanent disasters, the Western Cape delivers doctoral level excellence in managing them. That is the difference between competence and catastrophe. Honourable Speaker, we will step up with action plans, even with national fiscal constraints. We will protect our education system, we will fund our hospitals, and we will continue to build the infrastructure that creates jobs. We support this bill because it is the scaffolding we need to scale for growth and secure a dignified future for every resident in the Western Cape. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I now recognise the Honourable Petrus.
Thank you, Speaker. Honourable Speaker and members, I speak on behalf of the Patriotic Alliance. We support the bill in principle because stability in governance requires budgets to move. But let it be very clear, supporting the bill does not mean we are satisfied for the impact on our people. Our communities are suffering and the numbers do not match the reality outside these walls. We cannot continue with a system where we boast about budget increases that mean nothing on the ground. Speaker, 'n verhoging op papier is nie noodwendig 'n verbetering in ons mense se lewens nie. Ons gemeenskappe is vasgevang in omstandighede van geweld, misdaad en werkloosheid. En daarbij kan ons mense ook nie voordeel kry uit die volle potensiaal van ekonomiese bemagtiging. Ons vereis meer geleenthede. The high levels of violence and crime in the Western Cape under this DA-led government are totally unacceptable. It is a crisis. We need decisive intervention. We also demand budget allocations that reaches township businesses, skills development, tied to real job placements and opportunities for the youth that go beyond promises. Speaker, a budget that does not shift reality is merely an administrative exercise. In closing, the Patriotic Alliance supports the bill in principle, but funding must stop being broad and tight. Budget increases must be meaningful, not cosmetic. Honorable Speaker, the time for political showmanship is over.
Baie dankie aan die agbare lid. I now recognize the Honourable Minister, Minister Bradell.
Agbare Speaker, laat my toe om minister Baartman en haar span by die tesourie geluk te wens met die voorlegging van die begroting wat die beperkte beskikbare hulpbronne op die mees doeltreffende wyse moontlik toewys. Hierdie regering begroot vir groei en langtermynvolhoubaarheid tot voordeel van sy mense. Maar Speaker, dit is nie maklik nie, want alles wat ons doen of graag wil doen, gebeur binne 'n konteks van Suid-Afrika wat vir 30 jaar deur die ANC regeer is. Ons moet nooit vergeet dat die benarde toestand van ons land se ekonomie en die beperkte hulpbronne tot ons beskikking die direkte gevolg van 30 jaar se ANC roof en korrupsie is. Korrupsie wat verder aangevuur word deur die ANC se beleid van kaderontplooiing. Agbare Speaker, hoekom kan die ANC nie met geld werk nie? Die ANC se DNA is geweef met agterbaksheid en skelme manier van sake doen. Die ANC glo dat korrupsie is nie verkeerd nie, tensy jy uitgevang word. Die ANC dink hy is die Robin Hood van die rykes en gee dan vir die armes. Maar inteendeel is dit waar, die ANC steel by die armes en verryk hulle self en hulle eie kaders. Speaker, dit lyk nou of Slim sy baas gevang het, want die ANC kan nie sy eie personeel in Desember betaal nie. En hulle verskoning, the ANC is not corrupt, we broke. Maar die vetkatte in die ANC gaan 'n heerlike Kersfees hê, terwyl hulle arme werkers gaan swaar kry. Speaker, as jy nie glo nie, kyk net na wat tans aangaan in Kannaland se ANC-koalisie. Hulle munisipaliteit se skuld het met 32% gegroei en staan nou op 109 miljoen. Hulle skuld Eskom 73 miljoen en hulle gaan 30 miljoen se afskrywings verloor omdat hulle nie
Agbare Minister.
by die geld nie.
Order. Order. Order members, there's a member on the floor, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
On the
Is
point
that
of
a-
order, Chair, I think the
Order. Order members, there's a member on the floor.
Honourable Minister is misleading the House. There's no ANC, ICOSA coalition. In fact, the DA are the
The-
ones who've got the
Order,
provincial agreement with
honourable
ICOSA.
side, order. that's
Honourable
not-
Simmons has in
Order. 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 Honourable side. Order. Honourable side, can you please take a seat? Honourable members. Order. Honourable members, when you raise a point of order, that's not an opportunity for you to debate or put a comment with that point of order. Honourable side, that is completely out of order. Now, you didn't get your point in because I muted your mic, so the Hansard will not reflect that. So that is not, so you didn't get your point in. But honourable members, there's rules in this house. And if you want to raise a point of order, you are entitled to do so within the rules. And for the record, honourable side, that is not a point of order. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Agbare Speaker, kyk wat gaan gebeur in Nysna. Politici kan praat en skree, maar as die krane droog is dit nie politiek nie. Politieke praatjies kan nie die stank van rioolwater wat in die lagoon loop wegneem nie. Die ou pype wat lek, die watermeters wat nie werk nie, die pompe wat stikkend is 100% die gevolg van swak ANC-regering, agbare Speaker. Agbare Speaker, die hartseer van hierdie is dat soveel van ons mense, kwesbare mense en kwesbare inwoners kan soveel beter kry as die geld gekanaliseer word na DA-regerings wat weet hoe om met geld te werk. Die ANC het oor die afgelope 30 jaar ons land in die steek gelaat. Die ANC het ons mense onder die bus gegooi, agbare Speaker. Nasionale wetgewing bepaal hoeveel water gesubsidieerde dienste aan huishoudings gegee moet word. 6 kiloliter water, 50 kilowatt elektrisiteit. Ek daag enige lid uit om 'n huishouding daarmee te onderhou. Ons het navorsing gedoen, agbare Speaker, en die navorsing wys 10 kiloliter water en 150 kilowatt elektrisiteit is nodig vir ons mense. Hoe gaan ons dit betaal? Hoe gaan ons dit bekostig? ons kan dit bekostig as ons die ANC se gesteel in so korrupsie stop. Dan is daar geld om baie meer vir ons arme mense te doen. Agbare spreker, as ons meer krag in 'n arm huishouding sit, kan ons kinders by elektrisiteit, by elektriese lig leer. Ligte wat in 'n gebied verbeter word, beveilig 'n gebied en minder misdaad. Mense wat toegang het tot skoon water, het higiëne en die gesondheidstelsel kan minder druk ervaar. As ons beter na ons mense omsien, wen almal. Agbare spreker, ek sluit hierdie jaar af met die hoop dat ons mense van Suid-Afrika se oë sal oopgaan en dat hulle met helderheid na die nuwe keuses in 2026 na die politieke stelsel sal kyk en hulle stem agter die DA sit. Agbare spreker, ons land het 30 jaar met ANC-ideologie geëksperimenteer en die resultaat is werkloosheid, armoede, slaggate, beerdkrag, droë krane, misdaad en die feit dat ons die mees ongelykste land in die wêreld is. Die ANC se nalatenskap vir Suid-Afrika is dat die geskiedenisboeke foto's sal hê van sinkhokke wat mense inwoon. Dit sal wees om die kinders van die toekoms te waarsku om nie vir swak en korrupte leiers te stem nie. Agbare spreker, in hierdie somertyd is my wens vir al ons inwoners van die land 'n politieke landskap waar mense keuse sal uitoefen tot voordeel van hulself. Leiers sal kies wat sal omgee en hulle nie sal beroof nie. Ek dankie.
Orde. Baie dankie aan die agbare minister. Honorable members, order. Order. Honorable members, when I'm on the floor, I expect the same protection I provide for you when you're on the floor. So I'm on the floor now. Honorable members, I wish to remind you that this is a political debate. Can you please, within the rules, or stick within the rules and the framework of the rules? But it is a political debate, and that's why I've allowed a lot of latitude throughout this debate. I now recognize the Honorable Kassim.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the current proposed adjusted budget estimates are far from removed from the realities and needs of our people in this province, more so from the needs of the poor. It is clear that under this DA provincial government, things are just getting worse with each year passing. Speaker, we are now told by the Provincial Minister of Finance that the aim is to now build a 1 trillion economy by the year 2035. However, Speaker, the reality is that our people need economic opportunities and jobs now, not in 2035. Our people cannot wait until 2035 to see whether the DA will keep its promise or not. For all we know, the DA will not even be in government by then or even exist. So these future forecasted promises are really not helpful to the current needs of our people. Speaker, we are told that this provincial economy cannot grow faster than the current infrastructure. While it is true that the province as a whole needs a proper investment in improving infrastructure so that everything can move quickly and easy. However, we have one of the worst departments of infrastructure currently, where everything that has to move does so in a snail pace. Speaker, our provincial department of infrastructure is not effective at all. And if it is true that growth of this provincial economy depends on its effectiveness in doing certain projects, then unfortunately this economy is not going to grow anytime soon. Since the DA came into power, it has done nothing to effectively assist the township economy to grow in this province. And the reason behind that is because they do not want to see our people in the townships prosper and become self-sustainable and self-reliant. The Minister of Finance tells us about the Township Action Plan in the form of a pilot project which is meant to unlock township economic opportunities. We are not even told about the nature of these plans or how they will be rolled out. All we know is that similar low-budget pilot projects have failed in the past, such as the Pick and Pay Market Store project, which left our people poor and even worse, in great debt. Speaker, the DA's aim is one. If there is to be economic opportunities created in this province, then they cannot come from within. They must come from outside through foreign direct investment. In other words, we must always look outside for handouts or to use the little budget we have as a province and create conducive business opportunities for foreign businesses that will come here in our province and exploit our people by offering them low salaries and stipends in exchange for labor. Speaker, furthermore, for our businesses to thrive in this province and for our people to live free and to enjoy the benefits of democracy, we need a safe Western Cape, something that this DA provincial government is failing to provide us with. Speaker, for the provincial economy, Speaker, we are now being told at the end of 2025 that the DS revised plan under the safety plan will now include creating 5,800 empowerment opportunities for the youth. How is that even going to reduce crime in this province? Because the reality is that same youth in our province needs protection. All of these promises, Speaker, are just big words, which means nothing in essence, just like the safety plan was introduced in 2019. So why were these things not done back then? From 2019, we were told that placing LEAP officers in areas experiencing the highest level of violence will reduce crime. However, 6 years down the line, we are still being fed the same story whilst crime and the murder rate continue to increase in the Western Cape. Another crisis, Speaker, that we are facing in this province is with regards to the learner placement in schools. We need a better and functioning school placement system in this province. We need more classrooms. We need more schools. We need more teachers. And once again, in conclusion, Speaker, this budget too, unfortunately, does not speak to that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kasim. I now recognize the Minister of Social Development, Minister Lond.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, to the Premier, the Cabinet colleagues, members of the Provincial Parliament, the media and citizens of the Western Cape. It is my privilege today to rise in full support of the 2025 Medium-Term Budget Policy Statement and the 2025-26 adjustment estimates as tabled by the Minister of Finance. Honourable Speaker, this is a budget that builds on our foundations as a Western Cape Department of Social Development, expanding our reach and reaffirming our commitment to dignity, protection, and opportunity for every resident in this province. This budget says loudly and clearly, even in the tight fiscal climate, the Western Cape will not abandon its most vulnerable. Instead, we scale for growth and we scale for care, because true growth is only meaningful when it lifts people. Speaker, our department has been entrusted with an additional provincial funding of 21 million in this adjustment budget, specifically targeted at strengthening social services. This is not symbolic, it is strategic. It is a recognition by the Minister of Finance that social protection is not a cost center. It is a catalyst for stability, safety, and resilience. The allocations will strengthen the following areas. The Social Worker Integrated Management System, or SWIMS, to the value of 2 million. This system is already transforming case management, significantly reducing administrative time. This means that there's more time with children at risk, more time supporting families, and more time protecting communities. The expansion funded today pushes us towards a fully integrated, tech-enabled social protection system across the province. We have already rolled SWIMS out to 3 designated child protection organizations, Stelcare, Valley Development Projects, and RCFF, as well as our sister departments, the Western Cape Education Department, and we recently started training the social workers in the Department of Health and Wellness. Next is the EASE program, the Early Adolescent Skills for Emotions, 2 million. Mental health challenges among children and young people continue to rise. The Early Adolescent Skills for Emotions program by DSD, DCAS, WCED, Health and Wellness brings structured, evidence-based emotional regulation support to learners and youth. This investment strengthens our preventative work and supports long-term well-being because emotional stability is a foundation for educational success, employability, and safe communities. Then there's the Time Program for Rural Communities, 2 million. Rural households face unique pressures, distance, poverty, and limited access to services. The Time Program will deepen community-based support networks, providing families with parenting tools, early intervention services, and psychosocial support. It will assist individuals who battle with substance use disorders to find ways to use the time they have more wisely. Then, something that is quite close to my heart, the strengthening of the older person's care for an additional 15 million. Our seniors are the custodians of our history and the anchors of many households. This budget provides 5 million for more bed spaces in care facilities, reducing the waiting list. 10 million for improved health, nutrition and dignity programs for older persons. And this is how a caring government honor those who built the foundation we stand on. Speaker, social development cannot ignore the pressures of hunger and poverty. That's why over 22,000 vulnerable residents receive subsidized meals through our community nutrition and development centers. I also want to thank the Minister of Finance for reaffirming her support for the Cape Care Fund. This will allow us to pilot new interventions, attract philanthropic capital, and expand services despite national constraints. Ek gaan nou seker 'n gekekkel hoor van die oppositiebanke, agbare speaker. Maar Honorable Nkondlo, this is a government that proudly takes care of our NPOs. This is a government that makes sure we pay our NPOs. Unlike the governments run by Gauteng, we in fact pay our NPOs 3 months in advance and not let them linger and close down and have to go to court to look after. So if we fund NPOs, Honorable Speaker, we're not ashamed of that.
Order.
I'm not Nostradamus, maar daai gekekkel het ek voorspel.
Order.
Because, Honorable Speaker, as Minister Burdell said, we are not corrupt, we are not broke like the ANC.
Honorable Minister, please take your seat.
Laat die kekkel voortgaan, Speaker.
Order. Honorable Chief Whip of the Opposition, is that a point of order?
Yes, Speaker, we cannot allow ourselves to be called we are cackling. That's an insult. I'm speaking just like he is speaking
Order.
there.
Order, members, there's a member on the floor.
Hy moet ophou kry, dan sal ek ophou om te kekkel, want hy kry
Order.
elke geraas.
Order. Honorable members, that is not a point of order, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members, if you rise on a point of order, you need to indicate to me what the point of order is. You do not need to justify it. It's for me to adjudicate whether or not it is. Order. Order. While, honorable members, while this is a political debate, can I please ask that we respect the decorum of the House and that we treat each other with the necessary respect. Honorable Nkondlo, while I am speaking to the House, you and the Honorable Minister is engaging across the floor. Can I please ask that you also adhere to the rules? Order, members. Honorable members, have you completed your dialogue across the floor against the rules? Honorable members, we have a long day ahead. I am order. Order. Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable Minister. Honorable members, we cannot start off the day in this manner. While this is a political debate, can I please ask that all members are respected? You are all honorable members. And whilst I am speaking to the House, Honorable Chief Whip, for the second time, you and the Minister is continuing. Honorable Walters, is there a new point of order?
So I've completely tussen die gekekkel deur het ek gemis wat my eie punt van orde was. Jammer.
Speaker.
Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable, I did not recognize you. Honorable Chief Whip, I did not recognize you. Honorable Chief Whip and Honorable Nkondlo. Honorable, order. Honorable Walters, that is not a point of order. So if you rise on a point of order. You don't rise because you want to make a comment. Order, members. Honorable Nkondlo, Honorable Lekker. Honorable members, this is the final request to the House. With that being said, Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Agbare Speaker, ek kraai van lekkerte oor dat ek voorspel het dat die gekekkel so 'n reaksie gaan ontlok. But I want to thank the Minister of Finance for putting people at the center of this budget, for the discipline and boldness she continues to demonstrate, and for ensuring that social development has the tools to protect and uplift the people of this province. To Minister Bartman, HOD Gantana, and the entire team, I want to say thank you. Speaker, I proudly support the budget and the adjusted estimates. I thank you and good luck for the day.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Minister. Order, members. Order. Honorable members. The Minister has been, the Minister is completed. I'm now going to recognize the Agbare Michaels.
Dankie Speaker. Ek wil net van die geleentheid gebruik maak. Ek sien die DA is hulle is baie excited as hulle so vinger wys. Minister Bedel, soms wys hy 10 vingers terug. En ek wil net remind dat die nuwe audit outcome vir 2024-25 van TVK uit die findings uit wat gemaak is, het TVK gefail. Hulle het die swakste audit outcome gekry in die afgelope 20 jaar wat TVK ooit gekry het. Ek dink is belangrik. Premier, ek dink is belangrik dat ons die 10 vingers terugwys na die DA toe. En hulle praat van financial statements.
Honorable Michael, Honorable Michael, can you please take your seat? I recognize the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I'm rising on Rule 51, and I please ask that you remind the new member to familiarise themselves with the rule and to please engage members through you.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members, we are all aware of the rules. Honorable Michaels, I will encourage you to speak to the chair.
Okay,
kindly continue.
Ja, dankie Speaker. Maar rondom die aansuiveringsbegroting wil die NCC net sê dat ons support dit nie. Vir baie eenvoudige redes. Ek is hier om te participate in intellectual debate. Ek is hier wat ek sien as die NCC rep binne die huis wat op die grond gebeur. As jy kyk dan spreek die aansuiveringsbegroting spreek nie tot die plaaswerkers en die armoede wat net groter raak en die lewe wat ondraaglik duur raak vir ons plaaswerkers nie. Dit spreek nie tot die gesondheidsdienste in die rural Western Cape nie, waar ons sit met Caledon Hospitaal wat 300 beddens het. Naweke is die beddens, elke naweek is die beddens vol en mense moet op die vloere lê. Dit spreek nie tot die crime in die rural areas nie. Grabouw is daar gemiddeld 3 moorde per naweek. Dit spreek nie tot dit nie en vir daai rede wil die NCC sê dat ons kan nie die aansuiveringsbegroting support nie. Dankie Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Michaels. I recognize the Honorable Marais.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus, I rise in support of the principle of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill. The Western Cape government remains burdened with added responsibility of defending the rights of its own provincial citizens against the negative impact of ANC failures, particularly where the national competencies are under ANC ministers. From the collapse of the criminal justice system to the failing ANC's BEE policies, corruption in the police, the unaffordable NHI, contentious Bella Act, expropriation without compensation, the list goes on. This is having a debilitating effect on the safety, well-being, and economic progress of the Western Cape and its people, holding back our people from realizing their full potential. And this, while the ANC's policies produces poverty, the rest of us seek economic prosperity. Speaker, when it comes to the flexibility of budgets, the DA must make sure that there is sufficient flexibility. When children's lives are in danger, the budget must be flexible enough to respond immediately, even if we must go to using our own reserves. The Freedom from Plus's motion earlier this year was rejected when we called for additional measures to be taken to safeguard our scholars in the midst of gang violence. When it comes to the devolution of powers, where does the DA stand? How and to which extent was the DA committed to devolution of federal powers to the Western Cape? To appoint a commissioner for the environment is a constitutional power given to us by the Western Cape's own constitution. Yet, you do not appoint such a person in a position or that office, and then you ask for other powers. So what is the extent of your commitment to federalism? Speaker, I want to know in terms of the woke agenda, where boys and girls are going to be forced to share toilet facilities. Is that also part of your policy, DA? And with the demographic shifts that are taking place right now, what will eventually happen to the cultural rights of indigenous Afrikaans-speaking minorities and their Christian-based values? We see the anglicization of Afrikaans-speaking children at schools as the demand for Afrikaans classes declines due to demographic shifts. In conclusion, Speaker, the DA must engage with their national counterparts in terms of education, agriculture, and environmental affairs to the benefit of the Western
Thank you
Cape
so
people.
much,
I
Honourable
thank you,
Marie.
Speaker. Thank you.
I recognize the Honourable Kaiser Philander.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members and the people of the Western Cape. We confront the painful realities of families who wake up every day facing poverty, uncertainty and fear. We speak about the safety of our children, the dignity of our elders and the confidence of communities who simply want to trust that government will not fail them. Honourable Deputy Speaker, in the Western Cape, we refuse to fail our people. While communities across South Africa bend under the pressure of national collapse, this province shows what responsible, caring governance looks like. Because under the ANC, we see collapsing welfare systems, stagnant service delivery, and overstretched, under-resourced SAPs, and a social safety net ripped apart by corruption and incompetence. Maar hier in die Weskaap gebeur die teenoorgestelde. Hier belê ons, hier bou ons en hier sit ons mense eerste. This adjustment budget is a blueprint for progress, built on dignity, compassion and accountability. The Western Cape Department of Social Development invested 2 million rand for the SWIM system, which will translate to faster responses and fewer people lost in the cracks of a failing national social system. Where other provinces drown in paperwork, the Western Cape modernizes and delivers. 5 million rand allocated for more bed spaces for older persons, because our elders deserve comfort, not queues, safety, not fear, not decay. Another 10 million rand for senior wellness and nutrition programs says clearly, we do not abandon our elders, we honor them. Ons ouer mense het 'n lewe lank bygedra. Hulle verdien respek. While ANC Minister Tolashe and Sasa fail them time and again, failing even the Golden Games, the Western Cape steps in to protect them. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the department also allocated 2 million rand each for the Ease and Time programs that brings mental health support directly to young people, including in rural communities like Beaufort West, Witzenberg and Kanaland, while national government talks, the Western Cape acts. Deputy Speaker, I must speak plainly about the violence that has shaken our province. A woman hijacked and stabbed, a family shattered, a mutated body discovered in Ceres, a community traumatized. From April to September 2025, more than 2,108 rape cases were reported, which 11 rapes every single day in the Western Cape. This is an epidemic that demands action, and action is what it takes. Our safety structures respond, our social workers support victims and families. This is the DA difference. More than 860 GBV ambassadors across the province, real people trained and connected to survivors, 21 active programs, including the Mossel Bay Initiative launched on the 1st of December with 128 ambassadors. Honorable Deputy Speaker, while the ANC fails to protect women, the DA builds an army of protectors. Wanneer 'n ma haar kind vashou en nie weet waar haar hulp vandaan gaan kom nie, sien die Weskaap haar. Wanneer 'n ouer persoon alleen sit, mag hulle nooit voel hulle is afgeskryf nie. En wanneer 'n jong mens worstel met depressie of trauma, is ons daar. Nou, Adjunct Speaker, nie môre nie. This is not a budget of wishes. It's a budget of work, of care, and of progress. The Western Cape continues to prove that ethical leadership, financial discipline, and human-centered governance can change lives, even in a country battered by national decay. En dit is waarom die DA hierdie begroting ondersteun, want dit gaan oor mense, Adjunct Speaker. Dit gaan oor waardigheid en dit gaan oor hoop. The ANC only offers excuses. The DA offers results. I support this budget. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kaiser Philander. I recognize the Honorable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to the Honorable Premier, Honorable members of the House, and all the citizens of the Western Cape. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we rise as the Al-Jamaah to engage the appropriation bill, mindful of our constitutional duty to ensure that every rand allocated in this province works for the people, not for political convenience, not for bureaucracy, but for dignity and for opportunity and justice. We welcome the tabling of the adjusted appropriation bill and acknowledge the tough fiscal environment confronting the Western Cape, rising unemployment, deepening inequality, and the persistent spatial and social divide that continues to divide our communities. Honorable Speaker, an appropriation bill is not simply a budgeting exercise, it is a moral document. It reflects who we prioritize and who we prepare to leave behind. Our first concern is the urgency of community safety and social cohesion, while allocations to policing oversight and crime prevention initiatives are noted. We remain concerned that communities in the Cape Flats, in the rural towns, and in informal settlements experience little improvement in day-to-day safety. We urge that funds be directed towards grassroots community safety programs, strengthening neighborhood watches, supporting youth interventions, and addressing drug abuse and gang recruitment at its roots. Secondly, Al-Jamaah emphasizes education and skills development. This province cannot continue to reproduce cycles of poverty. We call for funding that expands vocational training, artisan pathways, digital skills, and early childhood development support, especially in underserved communities. A child's prospects should not be determined by their postal code. Thirdly, we must speak to housing, infrastructure, and human dignity. Honorable Speaker, thousands of families continue to wait for decent shelter. Informal settlements lack basic services. The people do not live in budget books They live in leaking shacks, overcrowded backyards, and unsafe rental units. Allocations for infrastructure must translate into rapid delivery, transparent procurement, and inclusive planning that places the needs of the poor first. Furthermore, we note the allocations to health, the strain on clinics,
Kindly
understaffing,
conclude, Member
long queues,
Brunkhuis.
and shortages of essential medicine require urgent attention. Honorable Speaker, Al Jamal, we do not support this budget. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Brunkhuis. I recognize the Minister, Minister Mackenzie.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Members. And Honorable Bartman, I fully support the budget as tabled by my colleagues. Honorable Members, let me first start with the good news because in the Western Cape, we have a lot of it. Just a few days ago, on the 1st of December, we celebrated the annual Festival of Lights. By all accounts, there was between 80 to 100,000 people from across Cape Town and our country, obviously, and some from around the world attending this great celebration. The very next day, on the 2nd of December, we switched on the lights in Langa, where almost 10,000 people attended. And a few days later in Mitchell's Plain, where nearly 15,000 people attended the Mitchell's Plain switching on of the lights. This is what the festival economy does. It builds social cohesion, brings people together, and drives local enterprises. Stalls were reporting records, so much so a young TikToker complained that he couldn't find food because vendors were sold out. While I sympathize with this young man, I'm delighted that many young entrepreneurs had this level of success. That is how festivals create jobs. And in this government, we are not stopping. In just 2 days' time, it'll be the start of the George Arts and Culture Festival, a massive boost for jobs, tourism, and community pride in George, where there'll be a festival in Thembaletu, Pacalsdorp, and George, Maine, culminating in the switching on of the lights with sports, arts, culture, netball, and tennis clinics across Thembaletu and George, a massive investments in George and in the garden routes, enabling jobs in this region. That is how we enable the economy as the Western Cape government. Contrast this, Honorable Petrus, to my counterpart, your leader of your party, the Honorable Gayton Mackenzie, who sadly created unemployed festivals of lack of jobs. Recently, as you know, he cut funding to the Cape Town Carnival, the Suid Oosterfees, the Open Book Festival, and the Cape Town Jazz Festival. That, Honorable Petrus, is the killing of jobs. That is the difference between this Mackenzie and that Mackenzie, which is your Mackenzie. So, Honorable Petrus, if you can do us a favor, if you can send Honorable Mackenzie a WhatsApp, please call me, a Facebook Live, come up, and ask him to please stop defunding festivals. This Mackenzie is creating and enabling jobs with this government. That Mackenzie is cutting jobs. There's the difference between enabling an environment and a defunding environment. Honorable members, I could certainly, we saw the chaos that erupted earlier on with Honorable Said. I'm not surprised. He just came from the National General Council. We know they love throwing chairs. There's the Festival of Chaos he came from, and that is the behavior that they used to in national government. So I'm not surprised he created some chaos earlier on, and of course, he just left. Typical ANC behavior. That ANC, honorable members, loves chaos. Where here in the Western Cape government, we love stability, we enable jobs, and I'm surprised I saw on the program later on, maybe Honorable Benson will have 9 minutes to speak. Yes, his leader there was booed from the Communist Party while he tried speaking. Similarly, a few months ago, just in Khayelitsha, his deputy leader was also booed by his own ANC. But yet today I see he have 9 minutes, absolute festival of chaos in that party. While we enabling stability, creating job, the festival of chaos is on the other side taking place. That's the difference between them and us. But I'm happy the leaders of the ANC in this province are seeing the light. We've recently saw the Provincial Secretary, Neville Delport, has joined this great party called the Democratic Alliance. Former caucus leader, Banele Majingo, stood up and joined the DA. We saw stalwart Daniel Baichis, Paul Strout, and Jason Dawn join the Democratic Alliance, party of stability, party of enabling growth, a party of enabling jobs. There is the difference between us and them. So anyone that votes against this party, Anyone that votes against our budget, they vote against this budget of stability that enables festivals of jobs and festival of stability, does not value the people of this beautiful province and of this beautiful city of Cape Town. We value them. That's why we're enabling jobs and enable the stability in this province. Honorable member, we've also seen just horribly as the communist members there drove into the ANC General Council with a massive Mercedes-Benz and BMW, members of the ANC staff members were standing outside not having their salaries paid in Christmas. I mean, what kind of a ruthless individual do you have to be to not pay salaries just before Christmas? That is the Communist Party and members of that Communist Party that for some bizarre reason have 9 minutes to speak in this great parliament of ours. Similarly, that's not the first time it happened. In this, just the floor below us, staff members of this ANC did not receive salary a few years ago. So there's a consistent thread. Also before Christmas, I was a member of this party, of this government when it happened. So there's a consistent thread of the Communist Party members, of the ANC members, of the national government and of the provincial parliament to not pay their staff members before Christmas. But we're willing to help, Dr. Mayor. We are willing to help. Those staff members can come to us. We'll make special disposition and maybe provide them with some salary just to get them through the very Christmas period. I know my federal chair is a very generous man and he wouldn't help doing that. Honourable members, in this adjustment budget, we welcome the 3.5 million rand as given to me by the Western Cape government. The 3.5 million rand will again goes towards festivals, goes towards culture, and goes to our massive Western Cape
Kindly
sport
conclude,
strategy
Minister.
that I'll talk about tomorrow in detail. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
I recognize the Honourable Christians.
Thank you, Deputy Chair, Speaker. Deputy Speaker, although the ACDP support the Western Cape Adjustment Bill, but I need to devote my time to education. Now, in the papers, in the media, I've mentioned it in our standing committee, the Western Cape High Court has ordered the Western Cape Education Department to produce a comprehensive management plan for late, extremely late, and transfer applications within 6 months. So, and it says there, it violates the Constitution. Equal Education has taken the Western Cape Education Department to court, and this is what ENCA reported. Equal Education has hailed the Western Cape High Court's ruling on the learner admission policy. The court slammed the policy as inefficient, discriminatory, unconstitutional, and structurally biased against Black working class and marginalized communities. We've asked the minister in the meeting, is the department taking taking this on appeal? Because this is added finances. So I don't know, because Equal Education was again yesterday in court. And this is about the Western Cape Schools Amendment Act, saying that they're against collaboration schools, saying they're against donor-funded schools. Now, the problem here, it's finances. And with this constrained budget, there's a problem. So I want to know, Speaker, the Minister Department engaging with Equal Education so that money is not spent on court costs. Our learners need the money more because we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough classrooms, and this is just going to take from a fiscus that they don't have. So I'm asking, I don't know what the agenda of Equal Education is. I don't know that, because to bring this application, they brought the application to the Supreme Court of Appeal about the Western Cape Provincial Schools Amendment Act. And that we know we passed to 2019. And at this crucial time to bring this now to court, I don't know what is the agenda. But my plea is that we don't spend money. Of course, the department must appeal when they need to appeal. But I'm, from the ACDP side, there's money that we can utilize to assist our learners, to assist our schools, to assist our teachers. And this is unfortunate. So I'm asking the minister, I don't know if there's money even available to do all of this, but I'm asking the minister to engage with Equal Education to see how we can resolve this, so that we don't spend money in court cases. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Christians. I recognize the Honourable Van Binnen.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, let us dispense with niceties and get straight to the point. Today's adjustment budget is about the real lives of the people in the Western Cape. It's about whether families, communities, and individuals can live without fear. This is not a time for sugarcoating the truth. It is an adjustments budget designed to assist growth, jobs, and safety. Safety is the lived reality of people, shaped by their environment, the opportunities available, and the freedoms they're denied when crime takes root. There is no clearer example than Mitchell's Plain, a community burdened by one of South Africa's highest crime rates. Whilst Pretoria looks away, Mitchell's Plain suffers. And this is why this adjustments budget supports the Mitchell's Plain Safety and Development Programme. Honourable Speaker, where the Western Cape government is proactive, Pretoria is paralysed, and the consequences are deadly. Safety requires more than policing. It requires a holistic approach, one that offers young people hope, purpose, alternatives to gangs, and routes to employment. Sport, after-school programs, and youth development are crucial in the fight against crime. But we cannot fix what SAPS refuses to confront. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the latest crime statistics make it clear. The national government is failing. The drug economy flourishes. Illegal firearms flood our streets. Violence against women is rampant. Children continue to be shot at alarming rates. This is failure, pure and simple. And the people of Mitchell's Plain are paying the price. But there has been some progress. Mitchell's Plain has moved off the national top 30 list of worst hit areas. But let's be clear why that happened. It is because the Western Cape government and the City of Cape Town took action. We increased LEAP deployments, targeted hotspots, and implemented real operations. We didn't rely on press conferences. We relied on results. And the injection of money in this adjustments budget will support this. Honourable Deputy Speaker, where SAPS is absent, LEAP is present. Where SAPS is ineffective, LEAP is operational. Where SAPS cannot stabilise hotspots, LEAP does it consistently. The contrast is stark. But SAPS continues to fail residents. They complain about no follow-up on cases, shoddy investigations, disrespectful treatment, abandoned cases, and SAPS who doesn't show up. Honourable Deputy Speaker, combined with the national detective crisis and a justice system compromised by organised crime, it tells us one thing. A crime ignored is a crime repeated. A criminal not arrested is a criminal empowered. Mitchell's Plain is trapped in a cycle of crime spikes and temporary lulls because SAPS is reactive, under-resourced and under-led. But while national government fails, the Western Cape government steps up. Through the Western Cape Safety Plan and the Mitchell's Plain pilot project, it uses data and community partnerships to build safer communities. The plan includes targeted deployments during peak hours, whole of government and community-led interventions, youth prevention initiatives like Planet Youth, and strengthened school sports through DCA's reallocations. And this creates jobs. And as we know, nothing stops a bullet like a job. As these initiatives continue, residents will see a stronger LEAP presence, more youth development opportunities, better engagement between communities and law enforcement, and a long-term approach that addresses the root causes of crime and leads to a path for prosperity. In addition to safety, the Western Cape Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport has focused on youth development, grassroots sports development, after-school programs, and club developments are helping thousands of children in underserved communities. Over 3,000 youth have gained work experience through the after-school program, with 70% moving on to education, employment, or entrepreneurship. The department continues to upgrade sports facilities, ensuring young people have access to quality spaces for recreation. By partnering with sports federations and event organizers, they're using public funds to attract investment, create jobs, and stimulate the economy. Honourable Acting Speaker, you are probably about to hear a lot of man-whinging from the corner, but this budget reflects fiscal responsibility. Safety remains a priority with evidence-led enforcement. Our youth programs are tailored towards growing needs, and innovation is modernizing government services. And I support this budget. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Van Minnen. I recognize the Honorable Heron.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, after enduring the Minister's 35-page marathon of a speech, I walked out not inspired, not reassured, but deeply disappointed. This year's adjustment budget is nothing short of an insult to the people of this province. On page 31, the Minister confidently declares that no department's budget has been cut. Well, Deputy Speaker, that is simply false. Education was cut, local government was cut, and provincial treasury was cut. So let's call this what it is, another blatantly misleading budget speech. The rhetoric says one thing, but the numbers say something else. The government's big headline achievement, the so-called 6 major investments that came from the very performative Western Cape Investment Summit, were supposedly part of a 400 billion rand pipeline. After all the fanfare, how much was actually secured? Apparently 50 billion. And we're told to celebrate 45,000 jobs coming from this, but only if we ignore the fine print. That's 45,000 jobs over 2 decades. If you do the maths, that's 2,250 jobs a year. And while this government brags about attracting investment, it continues pouring money recklessly into a failing safety plan. This administration has dug itself into a hole so deep that the only apparent strategy it has is to keep digging, shoveling more funds into a system that has shown very little measurable return. Then comes yet another vague promise. We will reduce the number of people living below the poverty line. Which poverty line, Deputy Speaker? The upper bound, the lower bound, or the food poverty line? The Minister and this government won't say, because vagueness protects them from accountability, and they make no provision for this in the budget itself. And we're also told they will reduce the number of households with inadequate food access by 25% by 2030. Where's the program? Where's the budget? Where's the plan? Addressing the hunger pandemic is urgent. It needs to be programmatic, but there's absolutely nothing. Hunger is government's constitutional responsibility. It is not the responsibility of charities and the community activist who feeds hundreds of kids out of the goodness of their heart when they can. Deputy Speaker, we've seen this movie before. Targets announced with great theatrics, only for this government to backpedal later and then claim that targets are too difficult to set. This adjustment budget is not a plan, it is not a vision. It is a smokescreen of half-truths, inflated promises, and political marketing. And the people of this province deserve better than this parade of misleading claims. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Honourable Heron. I now recognize the Honourable Minister of Infrastructure, Minister Simmers.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, Premier, fellow members of Cabinet, Honourable members of the House, our guests in the gallery and online. Today, as we consider the 2025 medium-term budget policy statement and the 2025-2026 adjustment estimates under the theme Scaling for Growth, I rise not only in support of the adjustment budget proposals, but also to reaffirm a very simple truth. Infrastructure is not just an expense, it is an investment in dignity, confidence, and long-term opportunity. Speaker, our total departmental budget of 9.83 billion rand is forward-looking, strategic, and guided by the Western Cape Infrastructure Framework 2050. But today, through this adjustment budget, our government is sharpening our delivery focus even more. An additional 1.1 billion rand is being allocated to accelerate delivery before the end of the next, before the start of the next financial year. The largest share, 777 million rand, strengthens our provincial road network. But why does this matter? This means a farm worker travels to market on a safer road. A rural business grows because trucks can actually reach them. And families can spend less time on dangerous roads, and actually more time at home. That is scaling for growth. 195.5 million rand supports faster delivery of housing infrastructure, the pipes, connections, and services needed to actually build the homes. This adjustment budget unlocks 3 major affordable mixed-use developments in the heart of Cape Town: Leeuloop, Founders Garden, and very soon the Prestwich Precinct. This will mean 3,500 opportunities where they matter the most. closer to jobs, transport, clinics, and schools. Because to us, Honorable Speaker, housing is not about just counting units. It's about building communities for dignity. So, Honorable Speaker, the Western Cape Singular Infrastructure Project Pipeline now includes 42 already evaluated major projects worth 210.27 billion rand, covering projects of all spheres of government and also the private sector component. But this sends a clear message to our investors. We plan long-term in this province. We deliver, and we are ready to scale up with them. To ensure that every rand works harder for our citizens and not for those who work at the district municipalities, we are implementing our new provincial roads delivery model to reduce delays, unlock innovation, and stretch our budget even further. We therefore are beginning with the first phase of maintaining and upgrading our very vast gravel road network, of which we seek to upgrade 50% of this network over the next decade. This will improve rural access, agricultural logistics, and regional safety. That is real rural inclusion in action. But no government can deliver the scale of infrastructure demand alone. This adjustment budget therefore strengthens our partnerships with municipalities, our investment opportunities with the private sector, collaborating with even global partners, but most importantly, it will strengthen our engagement with the residents of our province. Everything we build as a provincial government, whether it be roads, homes, schools, or clinics, we build with and for the people of our province. Honorable Speaker, growth is not a static. It is a life changed. Growth in our province means a child walking to a school that was once too far away, the family receiving a title deed to own something for the first time in their lives, and the construction jobs we create today to ensure it becomes a career of tomorrow, but also the safer roads that connects the farmer to markets, but also our workers to opportunity. Growth in this province is dignity. Growth in this province means hope. And our duty is clear. Let me re-emphasize, our duty as the governing party in this province is clear because we govern so that people may live with dignity, have access to opportunity, and grow with confidence. And that is why this adjustment budget matters. We are shaping a modern, resilient infrastructure network, connecting communities across our province, ensuring that development is inclusive for all of our people. We are building a future together with our people. And allow me to close with a quote of what leadership truly means, listening to some of our opposition comments here this morning. Leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. And when we act with integrity today, we build the future our people can trust tomorrow. Honorable Speaker, we are scaling for growth. And as the DA-led government in this province, we are delivering for our people as we shape the Western Cape of the future together today through this adjustment budget. I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister en I recognize Honorable Ngensu.
Honorable Speaker, members of this House, importantly, the caucus of the African National Congress, led by capable women, and importantly, the Chief Whip, Ayanda Pans. As a son of Krizani, War Tambo, Henry Kwala, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Norman Levy, Crosby Moon, I was taught to read beyond nice scripted speeches and well-polished slogans to unearth the lies and manipulation that often hide beneath them. Today, I am reminded, Speaker, of the powerful words of Radim Lenin, who once said, I quote and close quote, a lie told often enough becomes the truth. These words capture the dangerous power of dishonesty and manipulation tactics clearly visible in this 2025-2026 budget adjustment. And also the content of the speeches of some of the DA members who have spoken, crafted to pull the wool over the eyes of the people of the Western Cape for nothing but political convenience. I rise to expose this dishonest and manipulation. I rise to speak directly to what the people of the Western Cape are not being told by this DA provincial government and its leadership. Speaker, it is important firstly to respond to some of the statements made, in particular by Member Ricardo. I must say, Speaker, that every revolution produces its own heroes. and equally every revolution.
Honourable member, please take your seat. Honourable Minister, is there a point of order?
Honorable Speaker, can the member address you? And I'm not Honorable Ricardo. Thanks.
Order. Order, members. Order. Order. There was a point of order. Please allow me to rule. Honourable Minister, the member addressed me. So the context in which that was communicated. I just want to remind all honourable members that honourable members are honourable. And so in that vein, it's Honourable Mackenzie and not Honourable Ricardo.
I repeat, every revolution produces its own heroes, and equally every revolution produces its own traitors. And certainly, Member Mackenzie and Neville are part of the traitors who betrayed our revolution, who betrayed our movement. It is for that reason that he is obsessed with the African National Congress. He's obsessed with the politics of the alliance. The alliance, the ANC, is there and is going to emerge victorious. Speaker,
Order.
it is evident that Member Van Veek has no appreciation of what is obtaining from the ground, and thus the content of his speech. It is for that reason that I would like to invite him to Cryfontaine. I would like to invite him to Ward 84, where the DA lead. I would like to invite him to Philippi, where the black working class live with sewer in their houses in this DA-led city of Cape Town. Speaker, I must also make this point, Speaker, that Member Bredel's obsession with the ANC is equally interesting. As an Afrikaner, he is the beneficiary of an ANC-led change. It is only under the ANC government that an Afrikaner community was able to have a CO in the mining sector. They were overlooked for decades. And also, the DA must be reminded that only in 2025, one municipality, the city of Cape Town, was raided several times by the Hawks because of the links between officials, politicians, and the underworld criminal network is led by the city of Cape Town. And the solid waste in the city of Cape Town that's where the rot resides. Speaker.
Order.
Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the DLR government wants the people of the Western Cape to believe that the province is starved of resources. Yet the truth lies plainly in their own documents. The province received more than 1 billion from the national government, split into two. One from the national conditional grant and the other from the provincial equitable share. These funds had clearly defined purposes. 1 million of rand for early childhood development subsidies and expanded early learnings. Millions to stabilize HIV services after withdrawal of PEFA. Millions for infrastructure at Cliffontein and Bell hospitals. Millions correcting National Treasure Service grant error. Millions for road maintenance following disaster. These are monies which are here. In addition, province received 1 billion to support education, health funds made to retain teachers, higher educational teachers. Yet, Speaker, despite this fund, MEC for Finance, Member Batman, has lost 384 million from compensation of employees' budget. This is justified through vague language about shifting from short-term survivalism to a 5-year budgeting approach. The rationale is unfounded. It marks the DA's true intention to avoid creating public sector employment for the people of the Western Cape. Speaker, this pattern clearly look at the education budget, for instance, where 736 million allocated for spending this very year, has been deferred for the future. While the realignments are permitted under the PFMA, the DA is abusing this mechanism, locking communities out of vital employment and services. Secondly, the Western Cape are not told that 12 of 14 departments have received rollovers, collectively amounting to more than 924 million. These rollovers are not signs of prudent management, Speaker. They are signs of failure to spend previously allocated funds. We need to teach this DA the dialectics between efficient and effective utilization of state resources, no emphasis on the other at the detriment of the other. Speaker, for example, MEC for Health could fail to spend funds for installing PV system on provincial buildings. By leaving these funds idle, the department deprived hospitals of renewable energy infrastructure that could have cut costs and improved services. Speaker, I must say that given this failure, communities deny services not because of limited budgets, but because fund projects were never implemented. These failures are conveniently hidden under public discourse, protected by the DA's class interests. As Marxists would say, the dominant ideas in every epoch are those of the ruling class. And given the class the DA represents, the mainstream media remains silent about chronic underspending and systems management. Unsurprisingly, Chair, given the DA's anti-poor divide and rule philosophy, this budget adjustment is still not rooted in the lived realities of our communities, particularly given the violent crisis facing township in the province. Instead of providing a focused response to rising violent crime hotspot in the metro, the DA chose members of this House to use this budget for its 2026 local government election prospects, given its waning electoral support in Mitchell's Plain through the so-called Mitchell's Plain Safety Development Program, to which nearly 9 million has been allocated. Where we stand as the ANC, we are saying, if this government is serious about crime and indeed their decisions are based on evidence, they should have termed this Cape Town Violent Crime Hotspot Safety Development Program, targeting not only Mitchell's Plain, but also Mfuleni, Khalija, Guguleri, Cryford, and Menenberg, etc., as evidence that it is not for election purposes. Speaker, the budget makes no meaningful attempt to invest in productive sectors of our economy. The sector is essential for creating sustainable jobs and decent work. Instead, what we see is the continuation of the DA's obsession with speculative casino-style economy that benefits the few while leaving many behind. Speaker, I repeat, no amount of polished speeches, slogans, or manipulated narratives can replace the reality of our spent budget. Neglected communities met with crisis of underdevelopment, broken promises. Truth will triumph, and the people of the Western Cape deserve less. To Chris Zani, to Winnie Madikizela Mandela, be assured that this DA, we shall always make this neoliberal DA run. This DA has no capacity to lead. The budget doesn't serve the interests of the workers and the poor. It is for that reason that there are no basis for us to support it. Instead, it pacifies the people of the rural areas. It pacifies the people of Mitchell's Plain, yet it without attending to the root cause. We call for industrialization in the rural parts of the province so that the measures such as the rollout of the intertown
Against your time has expired. Please take your seat. Thank you very much. Order. 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 Honourable members, that is the end of that contribution from Honourable Ngaisu. Before I recognize Honourable Minister Meyer, Honourable Ngaisu, I will consult Hansard to refer to double check on your referral to Honourable Mackenzie during your speech as a traitor and a liar, and I will revert to the House tomorrow with a ruling. With that being said, order. Honourable members, there's no need for a debate on that. I will consult Hansard and I will return to the House tomorrow with a ruling. Honourable Meyer, Minister Meyer, you may continue.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, Honourable members and people of the Western Cape. Today, I rise to affirm our province apex priority for 2025 to 2030, helping businesses to grow, create jobs, and equipping our residents with jobs. Honourable Speaker, I rise today in this House in support of the medium-term budget policy statement, an excellent statement, as well as the adjustment budget. Growth for jobs is the Western Cape's primary or apex priority to achieve, translating strategy into measurable impact across the economy, communities, and households. I want to lead on with the provincial leader of the DA in the Western Cape and the leader of government business. He stood up here today and he said, growth in this province is dignity. He said, growth in this province is confidence. This Honourable Minister of Infrastructure, he said, we are building a future of hope. Itemba is coming. Well, what I think is happening here today, the Honourable Minister of Finance, and I'm so happy because he pretexted this debate. She said, we are holding the line. She said, we are building the foundation. She said, we are scaling up. I want to congratulate the Honourable Minister of Finance. This is the best budget delivered in this House. She deserves a round of applause. And unlike what the Honourable Member said, she said no government department's budget has been cut. What I've heard from that side is budgets have been cut. I don't know which budget you have read because I have read and studied the budget as tabled by the Minister. I've read it in detail, conceptually and factually and spiritually. And so, this budget.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable Gainso, is that a point of order? What is your point of order?
Thanks, Chair. Given what the MSF just said, is he prepared to take a question to challenge him on the point, on the statement he has made about having read the document?
That is not a point of order. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
To my friends in Germany, those 4 people there, this is a budget of hope.
Honourable Minister, you may not engage the members in the gallery. Please speak to me.
Through the Speaker, to my friends in the gallery, this budget, according to the Minister, is a story of growth and momentum, meaning it's a moving train. This budget turns fiscal strategy into tangible benefits for the poor and the citizens of this province. Honourable Speaker, reference was made in this debate about food security. We have the evidence, the research, the science, and the data. And this is the reality. Now that you talk about the reality, this is the reality. Food poverty in this country, all what we know is that the food poverty is driven by national matrices. It is inflation, it is fuel, it is all the cost that is driven by the national government. So put the problem where it is. It's called subsidiarity, it's called decentralization, it's called devolution. Put the problem where it belongs. And that's what we are doing. What we also have done, we have done the research in terms of food security. And our food security has indicated in terms of the research. We are doing research. We don't talk macaroni without cheese in this house. And so our research indicate that we have evaluated the food security program. The food security program says it is successful. Obviously, we are not perfect. We make mistakes and we learn from that. The evaluation says learn from it. Unlike the NCC, they don't learn from their experiences. I will come to you later on. I want to refer to our Minister of Finance when she said a budget is a tool to effect change. And it has no place for political rhetoric. It is not a place for political rhetoric. A budget effects change. This will not respond to political rhetoric. Food inflation, Food poverty is driven by the national metrics, as I indicated. Inflation, electricity, and the fuel prices. National ANC bad policies. Thank you to the PA for supporting this budget. Thank you to the ACDP for supporting this budget. They know what is good. Thank you for their support. The Department of Infrastructure, there was a reference made here. This is the best run Department of Infrastructure in South Africa. It has 210 billion rand of projects, 45 projects. There are a pipeline of 855 unfiltered projects. The Department of Infrastructure from this government has now been invited to the National Department of Infrastructure to showcase their brilliant infrastructure planning, design, and implementation. This is now going all over South Africa. He has been invited to the MinMet to share the best practices. What else do you want? This is the best. I'm not going to respond to the EFF because I'm not going to speak about the EFF because their speech contradict the following reality. They say we do nothing. Here's the facts. Department of Health and Wellness, Minister Wagner, she got approval for infrastructure, 3.7 billion. Confidence. Department of Health, Klipfontein Regional Hospital, approved 2.7 billion. Rapid School Program, Department of Education, Infrastructure, 3.4 billion. Approved. Tigerberg, 2.3 billion. Drakensberg, 1.3 billion. This is the evidence and the facts. Let's go to the NCC. U was daar toe die TWK swak audit gekry het. Hier in die huis gaan ons net die waarheid praat. TWK, they stole the money. They got conditional grants and they stole the money. You received the conditional grants, you stole the money. Hier in die huis gaan ons net die waarheid praat. No more lies. Thank you to both Minister Lond and Minister Provincial. Thank you for reminding us.
Order.
My time.
Order.
My time.
Order. 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 Honorable Michaels, if you want to address me, please rise. But you cannot have a dialogue with the minister across the floor. Honorable Minister, you may continue.
It was checked. When you interviewed, it was it. We have to go back.
I will take the guidance from the table staff.
Yes, please. Was it. Want my time. I want my time.
The table staff has confirmed you have 3 seconds remaining. Order.
Honorable Chair, the future is bright and it's blue in this province. I thank you. Keep it blue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You may take your seat. Order.
Speaker, as a point of order.
Order. Order, members. Honorable Michaels, what's your point of order?
Ja, ek dink die minister van Landbou het 'n baie ernstige aantuiging gemaak in die huis van waar hy vir my implicate in geld steel. Speaker.
Order. There's a member on the floor. I will acknowledge you now, Honorable Walters. Honorable Michaels.
Ek wil vra dat die minister die bewyse in die huis lewer dat ek geld gesteel het met van sy kollegas wat dit confirm.
Honorable Michaels, I will consult Hansard and I will make a ruling on your point of order tomorrow. Honorable Walters, what's your point of order?
Chairperson, I did not hear the Minister of Agriculture, in fact, accusing a member Michaels directly. But may I also point out it's entirely in order because Member Michaels raised the matter himself, and he got the response from the Minister. Thank you
Honourable
very much.
Order. Honourable members, order. Honourable Walters, I've already ruled, and in terms of the rules, you cannot rise on a point of order that's already been ruled on, and I will revert back to the House tomorrow. And I will revert back to the House tomorrow with the ruling. Thank you very much. I will now recognize the Minister of Finance, Minister Bartman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Speaker, I'm certain that many of us have heard that, that we want to return to precedented times. And the truth is, since 2020, governments at every level in South Africa have faced one unprecedented shock after another. First, the COVID-19 pandemic, load shedding and locusts, floods and fires, instability in the government of national unity, and this year, extraordinary disruptions in the national budget process. For the Western Cape government, the 2025-26 adjustment budget meant navigating delayed national timelines, an unusually compressed spending window, all while protecting service delivery. Windows for receiving funding and spending funding were compressed and are compressed like never before. These were not easy waters, but we kept a steady course. In terms of human settlement, Speaker, it was mentioned that human settlements is not spending its money. This is not true. On page 232 of the adjusted estimates, you will find that the human settlements expenditure actually increased 41.08% in comparison to last year. This is why we are also adding additional funding to the human settlement budgets of 181 million rand in the adjustment, and the department also aims to deliver 50,000 housing opportunities over the next 5 years. One of the members have dealt with the food poverty that is driven by national factors. Over and above this, the Department of Agriculture is investing in food gardens. In 2024-25, they invested in 36 food gardens, and 3,111 household producers also received support. The Department of Health invested in Project Kulisa for nutrition for undernourished babies. The Education Department with nutrition in school is feeding 500,000 learners every day. And the Department of Social Development is investing in community feeding schemes and nutrition. And in the 2024-25 year, the DSD supported over 22,000 vulnerable persons as part of this program. Regarding the CASP funding that was mentioned, Speaker, we received the Agriculture CASP funding, which was approximately 269 million rand, 3 working days before the end of the financial year. You cannot put a contract together in 3 working days within the prescripts of the law. What we would want to see from national government in order to mitigate this going forward is give us the money earlier, reform how we fund disasters at a national level, and let the National Treasury administer the disaster funding. You can also find the information on the cost funding on pages 273 and 274 of the adjustment estimates. Regarding the G4J target revision that was mentioned, Speaker, the outer targets were not revised, only the medium targets, because we need to take into account global developments such as tariff impacts. And of course, when it comes to things like those type of global matters, we must be able to be agile and be able to, we're not changing where we want to end up, but we need to take into consideration how we get there. In terms of COE across departments, and I'll deal with this one across the departments, Speaker, not only I mentioned previously the national tabling of budgets were late, but on top of this, the DPSA circular is meant nationally to slow down vacancies across the country. And this is mainly due to the accruals that we are seeing in all of the provinces. But in the Western Cape, it is different. We do not have accruals the way other provinces have accruals, and we actually want to accelerate appointments. In the other provinces, they are even using the Section 6 money that they are getting from National to plug accruals. But in the Western Cape, we are using our money to accelerate delivery, and that is why you will see a portion in the adjustment budget, and we're keeping the rest of the portion for the 2026 budget. For the adjustment, we've added 573 million into the health budget, and for both health and education, we're putting 431 million rand into the 2026 budget. For Microsoft licenses and IT systems that were mentioned, Speaker, on Microsoft licenses, costs are contractually binding and driven by global exchange rates beyond our control. We do not control the rand-dollar exchange rate. And that is where the Microsoft license funding alludes to. In terms of IT systems across departments that are paid towards the Department of the Premier, this is for transversal work that the Department of Premier does for all departments. Now, I understand, Speaker, if the ANC does not understand paying bills, given that they don't pay their own staff, but here in the Western Cape government, we pay our bills. So if .P does work for you, you must pay them for the work they have done for you. In terms of the education and health budgets being, people claim that they're being cut. Their budgets are not being cut. Their funding is still with their respective department. All departments, irrespective of whether you are education or health or provincial treasury or DLG, received an opportunity to ensure that they are able to realign their spending based on the late tabling of the national budget, as well as the impact of the DPSA circular on COE for all provinces. So where you see a minus in the adjustment, you will see a plus in the 2026 MTEF. Speaker, questions were asked regarding the strategic post and infrastructure expert panel in the Provincial Treasury. And it is correct, the Provincial Treasury is not above the Treasury, and we must also follow the same procedures. So in terms of the strategic posts, the HR processes were completely finished, the positions were offered, and the persons wanted longer contracts, which we could not provide. So you can't go and not be compliant with the law. So we have realigned that particular funding to the MTEF because we still want to be able to fill those particular posts, but we are not going to break the law. In terms of the infrastructure experts panel, that is, we are putting that into the asset reserve so that we can use it for the MTEF. So we are not losing the money. It is remaining there for the provincial treasury so that we can implement our alternative and blended financing program. In the interim, Speaker, I've also embarked on a visit on behalf of the Western Cape government to strengthen our partnerships with the World Bank on our alternative and blended finance program. And on top of this, our Department of the Premier is assisting us with restructuring our department. It's called organizational redesign, because now that we have a new alternative and blended finance framework, we need to do the planning for our future projects in this regard. Regarding the questions that were asked on the environmental affairs and development planning budgets regarding COE and delayed projects, again, the budget's not being cut. They have the opportunity to put it back into the MTEF, which is what they've done, and they were affected by national transfer delays, DPSA circulars, as well as scarce skills where people don't want one-year contracts, they want longer contracts. And questions were asked regarding the Township Action Plan, which members can find on page 86 of the MTBPS book. Speaker, a claim was made that DOIs did not spending their funding on roads and not delivering on roads. But when you look at page 232 of the adjusted estimates, the DOI is spending on roads has increased 8.6% in comparison to the same period last year. And that is why we are adding funding in the adjustment budget for roads of 114 million rand. Further, there was an indication that from a member that we don't just want jobs in 2035, we want jobs now. And I want to refer the member to page 89 of the MTBPS book that shows our improvement as a province. It shows there in our metrics that our GDP growth has increased from minus 1.4% in Q4 of 2022 to 1.3% year on year in Q2 2025. Between Q4 2022 and Q3 of 2025, we increased the people employed from 2.5 million to 2.8 million, almost 3,000 jobs. And we will continue working to achieving our 600,000 jobs target by 2035. Our unemployment rate reduced from 22.5% in Q4 of 2022 to 19.7% in Q3 2025. And we have increased our SMMEs in our province by almost 100,000 new businesses between Q4 of 2023 and Q2 of 2025. Speaker, mention was made of the Theewaterskloof Kloof audit results, and I agree, they are horrible audit results. This is the impact from previous years before the current administration, and the AG can't even find the evidence for the money that was spent under those previous administrations. So I would like to ask that the member go ask the previous people what happened to the money, want ek wil ook weet en ons gaan uitvind. Speaker, in terms of rural safety, the new safety funding is over and above the 3.955 billion rand of the MTEF that we are spending on safety projects. This 9 million rand additional will be going to the Mitchells Plain pilot program for violence prevention, and it's based on data and evidence. And 3.5 million rand will also be putting into our Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport for sport and cultural initiatives, because violence prevention is transversal. While I have gone through the safety programs in the budget speech, the respective programs can be found in Chapter 4 of the MTBPS book, which includes but is not limited to family prevention and support services, Planet Youth, work and employment opportunities, Chrysalis Academy, LEAP officers, institutional care of high-risk adolescents, increasing our support for municipalities from 4 municipalities to 25 over the MTEF through the creation of a rural LEAP unit for rapid crime response in the West Coast, Overberg and Garden Route districts, enhanced support for K9 units, scaling our number of accredited neighborhood watches from 470 to 1,000 over the MTEF, strengthening our community policing forums, after-school programs, skill development programs, and providing substance use disorder early intervention services. But the members can read the chapter in more detail. In terms of a question that was asked regarding which poverty line, we follow the Stats SA determination of poverty lines in South Africa across provinces, and we use those particular metrics. And in terms of the households with routine inadequate food access, I've mentioned some of the programs that the province does, but programs can also be read up in Chapter 4 of the MTBPS book, and the metrics are on page 108 of the MTBPS book, as led by the Educated, Healthy and Caring Society cluster, which is portfolio number 3. And Speaker, as a province, you have to have targets because you need to be able to measure impact, and that is why our EHACS cluster has put these targets together for us, for our government, because we want to be able to make an impact. In terms of a question that was asked regarding the Investment Summit, the Investment Summit is one program within the G4J portfolio cluster, Speaker. The clusters programs are outlined in pages 73 to 89 of the MTBPS book, and some of the programs were detailed in the MTBPS speech as well. Just to give an overview, the pillars in the G4J cluster includes dealing with attracting investment, expanding export and domestic markets, energy resilience, water resilience, technology and innovation, infrastructure and the connected economy, and economic opportunities and employability. But before we conclude this debate today, Speaker, I do want to thank everyone who's made meaningful contributions to this debate. As I've mentioned earlier, this adjustment budget is not just about holding the line. It is about scaling for growth. Scaling that delivers faster, better, and smarter for our growing population demands. And that is why we are adding 1.739 billion rand to the budget, bringing our budget to 89.7 billion rand for this year. We are building a Western Cape that is attracting investment, creating jobs, making us a safer Western Cape with the funding that we've put in for safety, and a Western Cape that is healthy, educated and caring, underpinned by an innovative and effective government that people trust. Every allocation in this budget is designed to accelerate momentum and strengthen dignity and prosperity for all our residents. And I want to extend my sincere gratitude to the Provincial Treasury for their technical excellence and commitment to fiscal sustainability, my cabinet colleagues for their support, the political leadership of this House for your understanding and cooperation during this unprecedented budgetary year, to the DG, the HOD, and all of our officials in government for their diligence and commitment to responsible budgeting, to the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and officials of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament for your procedural support throughout this unprecedented budgetary process. And most importantly, I want to thank the people of the Western Cape, Speaker, who have entrusted us with managing their money and delivering for them. Your trust is the reason we step up and the reason we will scale for growth. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on the consideration of the principle of the bill. Are there any objections to the approval of the principle of the bill?
Yes.
Is there an objection?
Yes.
There is an objection. Now I'll put the question. All those in favour of the question being adopted, please say aye. Those not in favour of the question put before the House being approved, please say no.
No.
I think the ayes have it. Order. I think the ayes have it. The Secretary will read the bill.
Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
The House will deal with the separate votes from now onwards. I recognise the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I move that notwithstanding the sequence of proceedings, at vote 11, agriculture be given precedence and be taken as the next order of the day.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, are there any objections to that motion? No objections. Agreed to. Honourable members, we will now move on to the debate on vote 11, agriculture. The Secretary will read the second order of the day.
Debate on vote 11, Agriculture, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, B5, 2025.
Thank you very much. I recognise the Minister, Minister Mayor.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, Cabinet colleagues, honourable members of this House, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Honourable Speaker, I rise today to table the adjustment budget for vote 11, agriculture for 2025-2026 financial year. This adjustment reflects our unwavering support and commitment for jobs and food on your table, while responding decisively to the realities that shaped our sector since April this year. When I tabled the main budget in April this year, we committed to supporting farmers, strengthening food security, and driving market access and support our agri-workers. Since then, the Western Cape has faced extraordinary challenges, including the aftermath of severe floods of 2024, which disrupted the production and damaged infrastructure. These events required urgent interventions to restore agricultural capacity and livelihoods. Honourable Speaker, the department's budget increased from 1.021 billion to 1.303 billion, an upward adjustment of 282.229 million. So, Honourable Speaker, this budget is on the increase, and I'm asking members in this House not to tell me the budget is decreasing. If they tell me the budget is decreasing, I would prefer that you point me to the number, because maybe you are reading the wrong budget. And so, Honourable Speaker, our own revenue rises by 3 million rand from 39.6 million to 42.6 million. due to the over-collection allocated to the management of state farms under Casidra. There are also key drivers of the adjustment, the rollovers of 273 million, including, as the Honourable Minister of Finance just concluded, in the second reading debate, there was a 269.3 million for disaster recovery. And as he just mentioned in this house, I hope there's no confusion, because the minister just concluded before me now that we have received those money 3 days before the end of the financial year. Nobody can spend 269 million if you have 3 days left in your financial year, except if you are in the Theewaterskloof municipality. That is possible, but we are not doing those things because we are an honest government in the Western Cape. And we also have done some upgrades at Elsenburg, a great college dating back from 1898, a fantastic college, well run, efficient, but we need to make some further investments and upgrades. We also put the signal when the Premier is looking for me. My policy is if the Premier sends me a message, 30 seconds I must reply. But there are times when I cannot reply in 30 seconds. When I'm at Elsenburg, we've got signal problems. And thank you to this House, because you will vote for me, for my budget. Thank you that now you will allocate 2.8 million for the mobile signal amplification at Elsenburg Farm, where Selina was also. Selina, when the Premier calls me at Elsenburg, I must call him back in 30
Honourable
seconds.
Minister, may I please remind you again that you may not engage members of the gallery. Please speak to me and not directly to the members in the gallery.
I apologize to the House. Thank you, Honourable Member, and thank you, Honourable Speaker. And through you, Selina, I love you, and I know you will make sure that I also phone the Premier on time, because 30 seconds is the benchmark in this province. We have also have a revenue retention of 8.9 million, very important for veterinary services. Through you, Speaker, as Honourable Member Michaels will know, we have no foot and mouth disease in this province. I cannot say the situation elsewhere in the country, but this is 8.9 million for veterinary services to make sure that we have disease surveillance and biosecurity. I can guarantee you and confirm in this House today that there is no foot and mouth disease. I want to thank the Honourable Minister of Mobility. He joined me with his team of law enforcement, with our Honourable state vets. We help to make sure that we don't have the spread of HIV. I don't know why his name is Gumboots, but that is not from my budget. If he want to buy gumboots, it's not come from my budget. Maybe from the Premier's budget, but not from my budget. Also, there's reprioritization of 38 million. Money shifted between the programs, and 128 million within programs to relieve operational pressures. And Honourable Deputy Speaker, I will table the rest. I'm not going to read all the document, these figures, but except to say that the strategic priorities going forward will remain the accelerate disaster recovery, strengthen veterinary services, support food security initiative, invest in research and development, expand on market access, trade facilitation, and export certification. I conclude, Honourable Speaker, because Honourable Member, through you, Honourable Member Michaels had said, I must keep this budget short because, okay, so lekker. I come to you later in the reply. Honourable Michaels said to me I must be short because he would like to go on lunch, and I got the permission of my chief whip to keep it short so that we can respond to the food security needs of the Honourable Member. I conclude, agriculture remains the backbone of rural economies. This adjustment budget is about resilience next year. I wait for the package, recovery and renewal. It will ensure, yes, I'm waiting and building a house to retire. Honorable Speaker, I hereby table the adjustment budget for vote 11, agriculture for your consideration. And as per the instruction of the Premier, agriculture is stepping up in this adjustment budget. I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister van Landbou. Order. Before I recognize Honorable Nkondlo, are we just moving the podium? Order, members. Honorable Nkondlo, you may continue. Honorable Gainso, when you were on the floor earlier on, we allowed you, Honorable Gainso, when you were on the floor earlier on, we allowed you to make your contribution. Honorable Nkondlo is now on the floor. Please do.
Honorable Menzo on council.
If you want to address me, please rise, because that is unparliamentary, what you just did. Honorable Nkondlo, you may continue.
Honorable Speaker, in reviewing the adjusted budget to the Department of Agriculture, we note the paper increase of 282.2 million, which in the main is nothing than money that was not spent in the last financial year and approved as rollover, with Program 1 administration of 2.8 million and the bigger share of 269.3 million to Program 2 sustainable resource use and management to deal with disaster of December 2023 and July 2024, and the 1.1 million to Elsenberg in Program 7. Speaker, we remain concerned with the austerity measures of the DA towards a lean government as per its manifesto, which shows how in this province staff numbers have been reduced from 90,565 in March 2023 down to 86,285 by March 2025. This means the DA under Premier Alan Winde has exited 4,280 public servants in 24 months. And this is done under the disguise of fiscal consolidation, a clear feature of austerity measures that has led to the problems, particularly of the poor from this economy. The Department of Agriculture carries this agenda as in this financial year, it has realigned more than 40 million away from the compensation of employees budget at a time when the very agriculture sector is facing challenges of climate change, global trade dynamics with US 30% tariffs amongst others. Unemployment is soaring and existing staff are overburdened. Program 8, Rural Development, is the least funded in this department, with its main allocation of 20.9 million adjusted down to 18.22, with 2.7 million shifted to operational costs, such as procurement of office furniture and equipment. This is a shame that no consideration is made for meaningful program to respond to poor living conditions of farm workers, which are nicely called here agri workers. The persistent abuse under commercial farmers of women and children who are thrown on the streets with their belongings after serving these farms for over 40 years of their lives. Where is the growth that represents dignity, Minister, unless the dignity of the wealthy is your measure and the lives of farm workers do not matter? In Program 8, Rural Development, we see a decrease of 315,000 due to cost saving on travel and a further 500,000 cut to farm worker development. Farm workers remain one of the most vulnerable groups in this province, facing harsh working conditions and food insecurity. What message does this send that rural development and farm worker upliftment are optional extras? We note the 8.6 million additional funds to Program 4, Veterinary Services, with 5.4 million of shifted funds, 3.2 million from other adjustments. This program has spent less to the tune of 470,000 in this first 6 months compared to the same period in the last financial year. We have requested that Minister Mayor consider the veterinary program in line with the role they play as the provincial department versus that of municipalities as part of the Animal Health Act. We remain concerned with the silo approach between these two spheres, considering how informal farmers with no land to keep their livestock are prejudiced by municipalities and their stock left to roam the streets and prone to diseases. The bylaws of municipalities are not responsive to informal and emerging farmers who are mainly black, with Cape Agalas that put down about 100 pigs of emerging farmers in Bredasdorp with little consultation with these farmers, killing their livelihoods with disregard of their voice on the matter. So where is growth for dignity of citizens of the Western Cape, Minister? The oblivion of this government to transformation of the agriculture sector is no longer a whisper, but it is a glaring policy choice and it's deliberate. The growth of the agri-sector of this province happens under the grave inhumanity in this sector that has sent women, men and children like Daniel Kamfa, who is being evicted with a neck injury after a tree fell on top of him on duty. The Rosenhof nursery in Witzenberg chooses to evict this farm worker and had to be forced by court action, and now willing to offer only 48,000 to him after 27 years of service and contributing to productivity of Rosenhof. This is the truth on which the success of this industry lies on. Where is the protocol, Minister, that you spoke about? And when will such a protocol work to better the lives of farm workers beyond awards, beyond food gardens? These issues collectively demonstrate that the department is not aligned with the needs of farmers, of farm workers, rural communities, or the broader agricultural sector at a time when the farmers are recovering from disasters, when farm workers urgently need support, and where there is international policy uncertainties and trade wars. This budget fails to provide leadership, direction, or preparedness. It fails to ensure balance, because what we are asking is that the work that is done to sustain commercial farming in the province and in the country is important, but also the balance of those that are downtrodden within the sector must be looked at. It can't be that people who are part of producing food are the very people that go to sleep without food. This reflects a very inhumane and scandalous a sector that is unable to sit and talk amongst itself and say, how do we ensure that we go and put food in those that are working for our profits on a day-to-day? As the ANC, we cannot endorse a budget that is misaligned with the needs
Your time has expired.
and the realities on the ground.
Thank you very much. I now recognize the Honorable Constable. Do you need the podium? Then you may continue.
Good morning, Speaker, and good morning, every member in this House. Speaker, we welcome the increase of 282 million for this budget. It is important to note, Speaker, that as a provincial government, we have to prioritize and to plan better. We know that 269 million came from national government, and it's a rollover. But as a province, we need to make sure that we budget for disasters, because we know it will happen in our province and in our towns. Rural communities must be supported through funds like this and become resilient and be equipped to deal with climate-related challenges. Speaking with regards to agricultural education and training, the allocation of 1.1 million for the CAS program is also welcome. However, we note that maintenance receives the focus, yet support for small-scale farmers and emerging farmers remains minimal. We hope that the purchase of equipment will therefore benefit these small farmers and that they will also receive the much needed funding. The reprioritization, Speaker, of cost of employees, about 34 million of COE is being shifted towards operational costs. Speaker, this happens while there is already a lot of critical vacancies in this department. The question remains then, why are we not investing in our own staff? And why are we not using the money to fund the post and go with speed with regards to the employment of this people? Speaker, our plea today is for this department to do more in rural development space. Help and assist those small farmers in Maritzburg, the ones in Prince Albert, those who struggle to make ends meet in Merville area, and those in Beaufort West who longs to become commercial farmers. Honorable Speaker, notwithstanding the issues we highlighted in this
Honorable Constable, your time has expired.
PA
Please.
support the budget.
Thank you very much. I now recognize the Honorable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Western Cape Province claims significant success in driving agriculture growth, with the sector showing strong performance in economic contribution, job creation, and exports, contributes 20% to South Africa's national gross value added, GVA. The province provides significant support to farmers, such as to the implementation of, among others, over 7,400 security projects. This, while support to black farmers and farm workers continue to face serious challenges such as insecure land tenure, limited access to funding in markets, poor living and working conditions, and inadequate government support. Black farmers continue to face challenges of coordinated post-transfer support, including access to capital, training, and markets. They are set up to fail due to the lack of support. Farm
Honorable
workers and
Brinkhuis, your time has expired.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. I now recognize Honorable Masipa.
Honorable Speaker, today's budget vote debate can be summed up in one line. Agriculture exports power our provincial economy, while local farming secures our food sovereignty. The committee acknowledged the positive adjustments of 282 million, primarily funded by the department's rollovers and self-funded expenditure from retained revenue. The national rollover of 269 million from Treasury National CASP grant provides an immediate opportunity to continue with Program 2, which is the Sustainable Resource Use and Management. This funding is earmarked for infrastructure construction and rehabilitation following the December 2023 and July 2024 disaster, securing the agricultural foundation of our province. In addition, 1.1 million rands for agricultural education and training, as Minister has indicated, dedicated to upgrading vital vegetable agronomy facilities, procuring essential equipment, and intensive training for the next generation. Further provincial rollovers include the 2.8 million rands for Program 1, focused on installing and commissioning a necessary mobile signal amplification at Elsenburg Farm to eliminate connectivity barriers to productivity. That's what the Minister has also indicated earlier. Regarding in-year own revenue, 3 million has been allocated to Program 3, Agriculture Producer Support and Development for managing mammalian stain and vigral farms. Additionally, from revenue retention of a total of 5.9 million has been retained. Program 4, Veterinary Services, receives 3.2 million. This critical injection fortifies our disease control capacity, enhances monitoring and surveillance, and strengthens the baseline assessment for our animal biosecurity system, safeguarding our export markets. Program 5, Research and Technology Development, receives 2.7 million rands, ensuring the consistent supply of feed and fodder for the essential herds and flocks maintained across 7 provincial research farms. The summary of the allocation, let me just say that there were no budget cuts in this budget, in this vote. Rollover, 273 million rands, own revenue, 3 million, and revenue retention, 5.9 million. Honorable Speaker, while these departmental adjustments are necessary, they cannot mask the systemic failure of delayed national funding caused by the corrupt ANC government. Late allocations caused by the ANC thinking they will get away with 2% VAT hike has forced needless and inefficient environments and budget shifts. This chronic instability, exacerbated by the ANC's disastrous, short-sighted fiscal maneuvers, has hindered our planning. The allocation of the disaster relief CASP grant arrived utterly unacceptable timing a mere week before the 2024-2025 financial year closed. Compounding this is the persistent detrimental problem of shifting CASP from Schedule 4 to Schedule 5, which forces emerging farmers to plan a full year in advance. This bureaucratic rigidness guarantees that funding arrives too late, tying farmers to outdated business plans and stifling agile response to market changes. Honorable Speaker, the Western Cape is not a summer rainfall region. When the passing of the budget is delayed, emerging farmers here suffer the most. While shifting funds helps, it only treats the symptoms. The lasting solution is to restore Schedule 4 grant allocations for the Western Cape, or at least allow flexibility if National Treasury cannot extend this to all provinces. Current delays have dire consequences. Emerging farmers cannot secure loans because banks will not finance operations based on the outdated business plans and uncertain grant timelines. Who bears the risk if the budget fails? Banks, farmers, or government? This is the dilemma National Treasury must urgently address. Honorable Speaker, the third U.S. President Thomas Jefferson once said, I quote, "Agriculture is our wisest pursuit because it will, in the end, contribute most to real wealth, good morals, and happiness." Close quote. Despite the debilitating challenges of delayed national funding caused by the corrupt ANC on our right-hand side, the Democratic Alliance welcomes the department's unwavering support, which has driven an aggressive rebound in the sector. The agricultural economy recorded a phenomenal 17.2% growth rate in Q4 of 2024, while the overall provincial economy anticipates growth of 2% in 2025. The agricultural sector is projected to surge by 5%, directly supporting an estimated 302,604 livelihoods. Crucially, the Western Cape remains the undisputed powerhouse of national agricultural trade, generating an estimated 55% of all South African agricultural export. Key achievements include modernization and reopening of the veterinary lab in 2024, enhancing animal health services and food safety standards, completion of rural development projects that created 1.417 job opportunities and rehabilitated over 31,000 hectares of agricultural land. Continued success of Elsenburg Training Institute, conferring over 100 degrees and diplomas, with graduates enjoying higher employability than the national average. Honorable Speaker, at national level, the sector's performance, driven significantly by the Western Cape output, saw citrus exports exceed 203 million cartons, cementing South Africa's position as the world's second largest citrus exporter and a critical earner of foreign revenue. This is in line with the citrus industry's vision to 2060. The formalization of agricultural cooperation agreement with Vietnam in November 2025 is a strategic diplomatic breakthrough, building on a high-growth orange market where exports have already increased an impressive fourfold, from 53,311 cartons in 2024 to 209,569 in 2025. The DA also welcomes the sponsorship of the Agricultural Association and Agri-Workers Prestige Awards. Such recognition is vital for a sector that underpins food security and economic growth, yet often goes unnoticed. Farmers' unions and associations play a critical role through study groups that evaluate cultivars, share innovative techniques, and advance livestock breeding, where real innovation begins. Finally, regarding the cost of employment challenges across departments, we propose leveraging the transversal function of red tape reduction to streamline appointment processes and minimize bureaucratic delays. Honorable Speaker, as I close this debate, I wish to extend heartfelt thanks to the members of the Agricultural Committee for their dedication and collaboration throughout the year. Their commitment has ensured that we continue to serve the agricultural sector with excellence. I also express my sincere appreciation to the department for its professionalism and applaud the Western Cape government's achievement in being voted the #2 employer in South Africa in the 2025 Sunday Times Best Place to Work. If people have to choose between working for the ANC and the Western Cape government, they will definitely choose to work for the Western Cape government because the ANC cannot pay their workers' salary. This recognition, together with the department's excellent audit outcomes, is a clear indicator that employees enjoy working in an environment that values integrity and performance. I also wish to acknowledge the pivotal role of political leadership, particularly Minister Ivan Meyer, whose vision and guidance have steered this sector forward. Finally, I wish to thank the Western Cape Provincial Parliament officials under the Honourable Speaker for their unwavering support, enabling the committee to fulfill its mandate effectively. Together, these contributions reflect a shared commitment to strengthening agriculture and securing the future of our province. Honourable Speaker, in closing, the DA support this vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I now recognise the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Minister Meyer.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to all the members who took part in this debate. I want to thank Honourable Member Nkondlo for raising again the issue of the informal farming, and I have indicated to her during the standing committee this is a matter that I will certainly take up also with the municipalities. Thank you for the comments about veterinary services. All of us are eating meat. All that meat must be inspected by veterinary services. And I am so pleased to see that everybody is healthy. So thank you to our veterinary services for excellent meat inspection across this province. I take the point. Thank you very much for the issue of the trade war. The cabinet had just 2 weeks ago approved my export strategy. That is in response to the trade issue. In response to farm workers, this is the only province in South Africa that has a farm worker program called the Prestige Agri Worker Program. No other province has a prestige or an agri worker program like us, and we put money aside. No other province. And the winner of this year is a lady, and she is working with livestock, and she will now sue next month. She will travel to Rotterdam, and she will travel to Berlin to visit the biggest fruit logistica festival in Berlin in Germany. Show me any other province that has an agri worker program, and you will win a bottle of whiskey right now. I have the whiskey here. Nobody. The Premier says brandy is even much better. So nobody has a program. We have the only province that provides dignity to farm workers. Only province that provides dignity to farm workers. There is no other province in South Africa. And so what it is there, Honourable Deputy Speaker, when there are issues, I mean, this is not hier wat die skloof where the gangsters cooperated. This is not a gangster house.
Order.
This is not a Sabine smokkelhuis. You were running a smokkelhuis there. We know what you were doing. You were, when is the course? When is he going for a course in parliamentary procedures? This is not a Sabine.
Order.
So please, your training course starts after lunch. Honourable Speaker, I think the debate that came here, there are relevant points, and some of the relevant points relates to the issues of eviction. And the Honourable Member did discuss it with me, the Honourable Members discussed it with me, and I certainly think this is a very important matter. Every year I meet also with the Prestige Agri Worker Forum. They have put this of illegal evictions on the agenda. There is now an agri worker that takes this matter specifically up and advises us on illegal. Nobody must be evicted illegally in this province. I will personally intervene in such cases. We will provide dignity to agri workers, and nobody must be, and there's a publication that we gave to all the agri workers about fairness and dignity on a farm. And lastly, to conclude, the Landsraadkoot, there were references to rural areas. Thank you for that point. Casidra, as the Premier whispered in my ears, does almost nothing in the city of Cape Town. All the money goes to rural areas. In fact, Casidra stands for, it's an acronym. It stands for Cape Agency for Sustainable Integrated Development, where? Rural areas. So that whole budget is going for rural areas. Honorable Noko Masipa, thank you, because I think you raise a very important matter. The ANC national government punished black farmers by not releasing the money, the transfer money. Black people have to plant in the first season, they get money in the fourth quarter. You cannot do farming like this. Farming is a science. A science needs predictability. And so I think this is not happening. So I also concur with Honorable Member Brunkhuis. I want to conclude, Honorable Chair. Honorable Brunkhuis, that is online. I want to thank you for your input. And I always listen to you. But I think you made an excellent contribution during the standing committee, considering my budget. And you confirmed that we have an outstanding chairperson of my standing committee, Mr. Noko Masipa. He deserves a round of applause. Honorable Speaker, I now table.
Order.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank everybody taking part in the debate, and I hereby now table the vote 11, Western Cape 2025 adjustment estimates for consideration in the House, and I can already see the body language of the members. They are in full support of the budget. I thank you.
Thank you very much, honourable members, honourable minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. The House will now be suspended until 2 p.m. The House is suspended.